the button's not working right now. There it goes. Inebriated Insights with Mark Hahn.
I welcome everybody to Inebriated Insights, the political drinking game where news junkies like me drink our problems away. So this show is a drinking game. Between each segment, we will all be chugging drinks, and then there will be a single word which we will also all drink on. Dave, what is our word tonight?
Of course, the most said word in the political human language, it will be Trump. Every time you hear Trump, you will drink.
Everybody drink to Trump.
Can we drink about Trump, not to Trump?
Well, if you like Trump, then you have to, then maybe.
I think every time we drink about Trump.
Yeah.
That's par for the course.
We try to drown.
Dave, should we go ahead and introduce our panelists?
Go for it. It's all you, Mark.
All right. A very funny improviser, teaches musical theater to children, and recently recovering from surgery, Mike Townsend.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me, Mark.
Then we have podcaster, tech genius. Some would say Leonardo DiCaprio stole his career. Eric Kaufman.
Hello, everyone. And it was Elijah Wood stole my career. You know,
Oh, that's right.
Leo was just a couple years ahead of me. You know, we crossed paths a little bit, but yeah, we weren't going out for the same roles.
Wait, you didn't go out for What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
No, I didn't, and it always burned me up. And thanks for bringing it up again.
Sorry. What about didn't you go out for Boner?
I played Little Boner.
Oh,
I played the. They had a flashback episode, and I played like the 7-year-old, 7-8-year-old Little Boner. Yeah, Tiny Boner. Yeah.
So your new nickname is Little Boner, by the way. Sorry.
All right. What goes around comes around. It's coming back. All right. I like it.
Then we have a very funny improviser and comedian and Bernie Sanders supporter, Kristen Carvin.
She's on.
Hey.
And lastly, the man with tattoos all over his chest and abdomen.
What?
Dave Stratton.
Maybe if I drink enough, I'll see them tonight. I don't know.
I would love that.
Okay.
It's been a while since Fetish. You know, we used to see those every week.
Mind me, I've gotten a little chubby since the last time we did Fetish.
Dad bod, yeah.
Dad bod's coming out in full force.
So when I rip open your shirt and touch your nipples next time, there's going to be more to grab, is that?
Yeah. Well, the last show, actually, you had a full-on, like, B-cup grip on my nipple there, and it was...
I think I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, so... Anyways, what do we got in store? Well, before we read the first question, we've got to do our little drink chug to our little Hail the Chief here. So, before the first question, here it is.
No, I just took a shot. I'm not going to shoot the whole time.
All right.
So before we get started, if anybody's watching and they're depressed by what's happening in America and you want to make a difference, you can go to votesaveamerica.com and you can adopt a swing state and become a digital organizer there and help register people to vote and help alert people when voting deadlines are, how to request an absentee ballot. It's a really great way to get involved.
What's that thing again, Mark? What's it called again, Mark?
VoteSaveAmerica.com. And you adopt a state, you can adopt Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Arizona, Florida, or North Carolina.
Wow.
Very cool.
Is it like Adopt a Highway where you have to go out on the streets over there and pick up trash and stuff, or?
Yes, that's what it is,
so.
Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
free trip.
You have to go pick.
Right?
You have to go pick up voters.
Yeah.
You just get
Actually, that's the
pick
thing.
up spare dropped ballots and fill them out for them.
You have to pick up the white trash and put it in.
You gotta stuff in
Sweep
the
up the
mailing.
chads.
Yeah.
That's actually a thing, guys. You can go to the swing states. You can be a driver. You can go pick up some old people. You call yourself a liberal? You think you're liberal? No, you're not. Go pick up some old
Yeah, if
people.
you're not
Go
going to
drive
pick
the
up
fucking-
some old people and have sex with them, you're not a liberal.
This is the America that liberals
Hey,
want.
if you're not willing to fuck a 75-year-old, you don't really have empathy, do you?
No.
You're not a true American.
That, let's go ahead and get into our first topic. Reports surfaced over Memorial Day weekend that Trump is getting enraged by internal polling showing him trailing Biden in most key swing states, with other states like Texas and Utah much closer than anyone expected. According to a report by Vanity Fair, when confronted with these poll numbers by since-demoted campaign manager Brad Parscale, Trump screamed, "How many fucking times do I have to tell you I don't like this? Are you fucking stupid?" Mike. So far, Trump's response to these numbers has been to scream Obamagate and accuse Joe Scarborough of murder. Do you see any way that the Trump campaign can rebound here and come up with a strong, consistent message?
Yeah, they can rebound. It just depends on how they spin 150,000 deaths, which is what it's going to be, and how much the market rebounds when it comes down to the beginning of October. And if it rebounds enough, then he'll have something to talk about. If it doesn't, they will just have to say that the people who died did not actually die.
That's what they're gonna do. They're just gonna thrush it all underneath the carpet there, man, or the rug, or whatever.
You okay? Did you just have a stroke?
I told you before we started filming here, I don't have that great of a tolerance.
You're just gonna take this rug and thrush it under it.
I'm taking it down to their level so they can understand me, okay?
Gonna sweep it under the house.
You're gonna put it in your carpet on your downstairs part. Wink.
We said like 4 times there, by the way.
Oh shit!
Oh, god damn it!
All right.
No, they're literally going to say that the people who died did not die of this.
They're already doing that.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, totally.
There's an
It'll become
expansion of that strategy.
it'll become priority message number 1. Like, how do we get 100,000 down to 60? How do we get it down to?
And even then, it's also like all of the ways that he's skewing numbers already. But like, we had the most confirmed cases, and he was pretending that's a victory because that's in fact because we had more testing than anyone else, which isn't even true. We don't. So it's always the playing with the facts as much as possible and as blatantly as possible. And so that's exactly what's going to happen again. But yeah, you're right. Like the only thing that Trump's ever had is the economy, which has always been a facade anyway, because his version of a good economy is the stock market. And the stock market, obviously, is one of the most obvious metrics of a good economy, but it's not actually representative of reality, of what our lives are like, of what our success level is like, because as we see right now, it disappears in a heartbeat, and then it's fucking meaningless. That's one thing. And the only other thing he had was the jobs market, which was also another facade, because what we found when we dug into those numbers was so many of those numbers were part-time jobs that, I mean, even full-time jobs, if they're at the pay levels that they've been at, aren't enough to actually survive off of.
People are
But
underemployed. The term is
and many of those yeah, exactly. Those
Yeah.
job employment rates were oftentimes the same person employed multiple times because they're working 3 jobs.
Yep.
Wow. I never even thought about that before.
Yeah.
51% of voters still approve of Trump's handling of the economy, which is, it's down, but it's pretty wild.
That is just
Pretty wild.
astounding. It's mind blowing. I can't.
I
don't
I
know.
think that just speaks to the level of brainwashing of the American people as to what the economy, what a good, successful country and economy looks like. That it's it's that capitalist. Like, I've never been one of those, people who's just been hardcore anti-capitalism or anything, but I'm getting closer and closer to that now as I watch just the obsession with capitalism is the ultimate way that we measure everything. It's like, no, it's not, and it's failing us miserably.
Well, it's because our gross domestic product is so goddamn high, and it's because of all of the. We have the most billionaires in the world. It's like the top 1% is the majority of them are in the U.S. and they control. I can't remember the fucking statistics. I'm not Bernie Sanders, but you can know this.
You're starting to sound like him.
Yeah. Okay. The top 1%. That's as bad as my Trump impression. Trump.
No, it's good. That's good. I like that.
No, it's better. It's better than your
Yeah.
Trump.
My
Yeah.
name is Bernie Sanders, the top of 1%.
That's just a Bill Cosby impression.
Throw some Bill Cosby.
What's the
1% of the pudding pops.
We gotta put little hip-hop. Of course, we can't do that anymore. Mary and I, my fiance, we determined that the only time it's acceptable to do a Cosby impression is if it's Cosby in jail, getting like raped by somebody, and then it's fine. But anyways, I won't do it because.
Yeah, I was almost going to ask you to demonstrate. I think a huge problem to this, and I think about this all the time, is that Trump's portrayal in American media for 4 decades was that he was successful, right? The Apprentice, The Art of the Deal, Home Alone 2, every time he appears on screen or in a book or something, it's like he's a successful businessman, and most people still view him that way, even though most people think he's dumb. According to polls.
Well, and that's been the consistent facade too for him, is that he's successful.
Yeah.
I think Home Alone 2 is a superior movie to Home Alone 1.
Really?
I might be in a minority. I think number 2 is better than number 1.
I think they both suck.
I think they heightened appropriately, and I think it was fun and silly. And a ridiculous movie. Sorry, that's a big non sequitur. I just think it's a better movie.
No, it was fun. You were good.
4 companies that were bankrupt. One of them is a university, and one of them was
it
a
only
casino.
4?
How the fuck can you bankrupt a casino? And then I posed that to Trump supporters, and they're just like, but
it's hard to erase 40 years of what you've said about someone, though. Because I remember reading those articles in 2015 and 2016. They were like, he's always in debt, he's bankrupt, and even I was like, I didn't know that. I thought he was really rich. I thought he did well.
Well, and because he's exceptional. I mean, this is the thing, and I've always given him credit for this. It's like one of the only things that he deserves credit for. But he is exceptional at spin and self-promotion and obfuscation. Like, this man knows how to manipulate the media, knows how to manipulate perception, and it's if there's anything he's brilliant at, and I'm not saying he's literally brilliant, but like if there is any brilliance in him, it's purely exclusively in this zone. I think it's not so much brilliance as it is a exceptionally learned trait. It's like the 10,000, except for him, it's like 40,000 hours, 1,000,000 hours of this, that it's automatic, it's a gut instinct, and he knows how to just get everyone to hear what he wants to hear about himself. And that's the only thing he's good at. And
when you have no shame and you don't care if people will call him out lying to his face. It does not bother him in the same way it bothers a normal person. Normal people get embarrassed when they're called out for lying. He does not get embarrassed about that. He does not care. He has no shame. He has that hair, for Christ's sakes. No shame.
And I think a lot of his followers, because this is something I've picked up on more and more from the Trump supporters, is they appreciate his ability to get away with lying. They believe it's a default state. They themselves would do the things he's doing if they could. And I've heard this directly from some of his followers, is they actively believe everybody is always lying all the time anyway, especially in politics. So what they love about Trump is that he's, by their warped standards, honest, unlike other politicians, because he's so brazen in his lies. They figure everyone's lying to us anyway. I prefer the guy who is obvious about it and honest about his dishonesty.
So fucking stupid.
Wow.
This is so warped.
I think we're gonna go ahead and move on to our next segment on that one. So let's go ahead, Chuck.
I need more booze. Hold on. We're back.
Tequila.
All right. President Trump, it's another drink, flew into a rage this week as for the first time ever, Twitter put a fact-checking link under his... I just had a Freudian slip. I said fact-checking. Should be fact-checking.
I heard that.
Not trying to fat-shame Trump, even though he's fucking fat.
He has plenty of other
Fact-checking
things.
link under his fraudulent tweets claiming that mail-in voting has existed for decades is an illegal attempt by Democrats to steal an election. After a meltdown a couple days prior, Trump announced today that he will issue an executive order challenging Section 230, part of a 1996 law that doesn't hold internet platforms liable for the consequences of what users post on their sites. Jet, do you think Trump's narrative of conservative victimization on social media will resonate with any persuadable voters?
No. I mean, this falls into the same thing that all of his stunts fall into. And it's a place where, despite myself, despite 3+ years, I don't know how long you want to count it for, because of course this went on before he was elected too. But despite myself, I have consistently watched him and wondered, when is he going, like any moment now, he's going to make a move that is going to be strategic and smart, and he's going to get people on the page with him. And this is a perfect example of consistently somehow he never, like, you'd think that the classic stop clock twice a day analogy would apply to him, and every once in a while he would accidentally do a thing that resonates with everyone. But he doesn't, and this is a perfect example of no, I don't think it can possibly, like, this shouldn't even resonate with Republicans. Like, this is the antithesis of what Republicans claim to stand for. And of course, we all know that the hypocrisy is massive there, so no wonder it doesn't. But like, the idea of a private company being allowed to do whatever the hell they want, such as refuse to make cakes for gay people, is as Republican as racist pie. But they absolutely, yeah. But they will somehow, his base at the very least are the people who will absolutely dig in and defend him and this ideal. But there's so many Republicans who've already split. Like there's the Lincoln
Project.
The Lincoln Project, exactly. With the Lincoln Project has some these former Republicans or still Republicans, but they have fully moved on from Trump. Like, he has lost a lot of people who absolutely still stand by the ideals of what Republicans once were or still claim to be. So they're not on board, and they shouldn't be, because this goes against them. And then you've got everybody else who can't possibly believe this is a good idea. I can't see this swaying anybody who's undecided in his favor. I can absolutely see it hurting and backfiring. I can see tons of people not caring. Like, that's the core thing, is that tons of people don't understand this, aren't going to understand this, aren't going to try to understand this, and just don't give a crap. But anyone who does understand it and care either is already on his side or will be driven away by this, and probably wasn't on his side to begin with. So no, it's not going to help him.
And they're laughing at him. They're like, try to regulate Twitter. Just try, because that cat is kind of out of the bag right now. It would take a lot more than kind of finagling this old 1996 law to, shut down Twitter. He's a big poop.
Yeah, this is something that is literally like this can't get through the courts. I know he's been stacking the courts, and so like there's always the nervousness that he's stacked it enough. But the thing is, it's going to get held up in the courts for years and hopefully be irrelevant. Hopefully he'll be out by the time it can do anything.
It's literally the first fucking amendment in the First Amendment in the Bill of Rights. Like, it's freedom of speech. Like, give me a fucking break. This guy wants to be a goddamn dictator. He's an authoritarian, figure. Anyways.
And that's the thing is, like, they didn't delete the tweets, which like it's been frustrating for a while because he's broken the terms of service so many times, and so many times his account should have been shut down or his tweets should have been deleted. But even in this case, like it was the most milquetoast response they possibly could have given. It's the first time they've ever bothered to do anything to him, and just on 2 of his tweets, the most they do is post a fact check link to go, this probably isn't true. And that's his claim of censorship. That's not censorship. The information is still out there. All of his supporters are still going to say, well, your fact check is some biased liberal left-wing bullshit. So nothing got censored. Not to mention legally it does not fit the definition of censorship. So fuck off.
I know that it was because of the election that they kind of stepped in with this, but it was just funny to me that on the same day he was like, Joe Scarborough fucking murdered someone. Morning Joe killed someone.
And nothing.
Explicitly said it, and they didn't even post something on that. It was just on the mail-in ballots, and he flipped out. I hope they do it every day.
I didn't
really
even know this. When you referenced the whole Joe Scarborough thing, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? So, like,
yeah.
So what was the story?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
With Joe Scarborough? Like, I didn't even know this.
Oh, Joe Scarborough, so he was in Congress a while back, and there was a 28-year-old woman on his staff, and she passed out and hit her head and died, and the autopsy revealed that she had an underlying heart condition that no one knew about. And there has been a conspiracy theory for a long time in the darker regions of the conservative netherweb that Joe Scarborough killed her for some reason. And the other day, Trump just starts tweeting, like, isn't it a little convenient that she hit her head, blah, 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 accusing Joe Scarborough of murder.
Like Trump hasn't murdered anyone. He's murdered somebody.
So, probably several people. Not to
Yeah,
mention
I
all
mean-
the babies he aborted.
I was gonna say,
well, yeah.
by their standards, he's murdered a lot of
Oh
people.
yeah, no. I mean, like he's got a tab actually at Planned Parenthood.
Because he can't pay it, because he's not that rich, because he won't...
Because he doesn't bother to pay his debt
he won't
ever.
use his fucking tax returns.
This one free! Yay!
It's a
Oh yeah,
credit
he's got the frequent flyer card.
I think it's something like he owes like 1.8 million to different state arenas and.
Imagine
state,
how much he owes to Russia.
He owes a ton of money to China, supposedly.
Yeah.
For all those egg rolls, huh?
See,
No,
but I love how you say supposedly, because that's the sort of thing that we're willing to say that the right's not.
Absolutely.
Like that's the thing is we will couch our terms with allegedly and supposedly, and we will make some effort to check ourselves. I know there's tons of Democrats who are just willy nilly and will happily say whatever the hell they want, but overall, we're willing to say, look, this is the best we know. As we suspect this seems to be the case. Well, they will just plow forward with, this is the truth. There are absolutely children underneath that pizza parlor being raped. And Hillary Clinton planted them all there in her wood panel van.
Well, because Sean
Supposedly-
Hannity, Trump said it, so it's got to be true.
Yeah.
Supposedly, some have alleged that we're going to go ahead and move on to our next segment.
Ooh.
Let's
Drinky time.
go and chug this.
Drinking time!
All right. With at least 17 states seeing an increase of COVID-19 cases, that's according to CNN today, including Wisconsin, Florida, and our home state of California. Gee, I wonder why Wisconsin has a spike in cases. Fucking idiots in bars with no masks.
I thought it was
Governors-
the cheese.
What's that?
Aw.
I thought it was the cheese.
Ah,
This fucking Green Bay Packers. That's what.
I'm losing my mind over here, by the way. It's just going to be bad joke after terrible joke, and just deal with it.
Someone's got to do it.
I think the sense of humor just goes down south the longer the stay-at-home order stays in place.
Dad jokes from here on out, guys.
Anyway, governors across the country continue to reopen much of their economies and relax social distancing regulations. Images from the Lake of the Ozarks in Ocean City, Maryland showed hundreds of people packed together without wearing cloth masks, which are, of course, recommended by the CDC. Dave, we don't really see this type of devil-may-care attitude in Europe or Asia, so why is it so hard for Americans to follow basic best practice policies?
See, I feel that as Americans, most people feel that we have certain unalienable rights. We have these liberties, this freedom that other countries don't have for some reason. People in this country don't think that exists, but it's a freedom that's like, I don't give a shit about other people. It's my freedom. It's not so much the freedom of others. People just are like more thinking about their own freedom. It's driven us, this whole idea of liberty has driven us to be very like selfish, and it's we got beat into, like, we got this idea of freedom, individualism beaten into us when, like, socialism, which has been brought into as like it is actually thinking about others, the group as a whole, thinking about everybody the same, which, you know, we should be treating everyone the same. That whole idea is just so destroyed in our culture here. So basically, there's a few different reasons. One of them is that Trump can do whatever the fuck he wants, and people will believe him. And since the election year, Trump, thank you. I've been rambling. So since Trump wants to say this is an election year, he doesn't want people to be wearing the masks. He doesn't want the social distancing. He wants to open up the economy. He wants it full-fledged, because that's the only thing that's actually getting him to look good, is that there's an actual economy. So he is trying to downplay this whole bullshit, this whole pandemic, saying it's bullshit. And so anything that comes in its way, anything that comes in his way, he's just, like, again, sweeping under the rug. And so let me get real, guys. This is the worst this country's ever been. I feel, I really do. This is just, it's pretty bad. There are other countries like Brazil who are kind of following his lead and are also getting really fucked right now. But
Bolsonaro.
What was that?
Bolsonaro, is it?
Yeah, for the Brazilian president, they're in really bad shape right now. But I mean, we can't keep on going down this path here. It's wearing a mask is about thinking about other people. It's not going to help you from becoming infected. It's supposed to stop the shed of the virus so that other people can't get infected. So the people don't give a shit. They only care about their individual freedoms. Not everybody. There it is. Jet's got his mask on. So I feel like that's our problem right now, is that Trump's saying that this is trying to not recognize this as a real pandemic, and that everybody shouldn't wear masks and shit and should go out and bolster the economy. And whatever Trump says is law. They think that he's above the Constitution, and that he can do whatever the fuck he wants, and it is the rule of the land. And also, people, let's just get drunk. I'm sorry, guys. I'm kind of.
Well, thank you for being succinct.
Yeah.
I I mean, look, he's equated wearing a mask with being a liberal. And so all of his followers are saying, I'm not one of them liberals, or, hey, I'm not one of them liberals, wherever they're from. And so they're not going to wear the mask because they don't want to look like big giant vaginas.
Thank you for diversifying your redneck speech.
I tried. I tried.
It's not just one shade of red.
No.
A lot of red.
There's red everywhere. You're welcome. But we live in a very we live in a very selfish country where our idea of independence and individualism outweighs the group. When you look at other Asian countries, their cultures, for example, are much more about the group as a whole, and ours are all about the individual. And what ends up happening is that you end up with a very selfish citizenry. And that's what we have, and they're showing it. How hard is it to wear a mask? You wear shoes to walk into a store. I mean, it's ludicrous.
Yeah, they've never. These people have never protested the "No shirt, no shoes, no service" sign. And as other people have pointed out, they've never. We don't have this problem. I know seatbelts had a big thing early on, but people have gotten over that overall.
Helmets.
You say that, Jared, but I've seen a lot of people. I've literally seen these people who they would strain credulity as to whether they were wearing shoes or shirts while they were going somewhere.
That's fair. Yeah,
that is fair.
It's a weird position to be in, to find myself arguably against freedom, which is like what they seem to be pretending I am. But that's really the argument that's been pitched here. Is they are absolutely living the American ideal of freedom, and all the rest of us are battling it. But it's exactly what you said, that this is about a duty to one's culture, one's society, one's village, one's people. We have the freedom, but that doesn't mean that we should take it. Rugged individualism is this incredible American ideal that's just, it's a ridiculous one that we're obsessed with at the cost of everything else. And it absolutely is it seems to be the most standard Republican versus Democrat focus is me and what I need and what I want. And even if it's, again, I've talked about this before, Republicans oftentimes seem to enjoy helping other people as long as they can do so on an individual level and get very visible credit for having done so.
And the people that they want to help too.
Right.
You'll see them, they're not going to go and march with the Black Lives Matter movement. That's not happening because they don't care.
Right. And I work in IT, and I have a lot of different types of clients and different types of businesses, and some of them are definitely clearly right wing, and I work with them very directly. And they're generally people who I very much like. They're very nice people. They're very likable people, and they have people in their circle and in their lives who they have clearly helped directly. And, they've taken people on from a different economic class and a different race. And it's a perfect example of, I'm not racist, I'm not classist, look at these people I've helped. And I'm not even going to take that away from them. It's like they are genuinely doing good things for individual good people who they respect. But it is absolutely, like you're saying, it is the specific people they have chosen and handpicked of, this is the example of the person who deserves this. And oftentimes, and I'm not speaking for these specific people because who knows what the rationale is, but I see this a lot in the Republican ideals is, I have found the good ones, I found the diamonds in the rough, whatever the rationale is, and these are the people deserving of help, but the masses aren't necessarily. And I do the right thing by these people by handpicking who I want to take care of. And while the rest of us are like, yeah, you don't realize that all of them are like that, more or less. Yes, of course, there's always a few bad people in every group who aren't deserving of it. But I would always far rather just play the odds and the numbers and go, let's just help everyone. And there's going to be a few people who exploit our help, and fuck it, because the rest of the people who needed it got it.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
They have this, they have Christian ideals, and that Jesus was all about helping other people, but what people,
Yay, Jesus!
people can't
We'll
stand
drink to Jesus.
we're drinking to Jesus now.
Trump and Jesus are the same person, right?
Pretty much.
Pretty
I
much.
mean, he's
That's
the
what I've been told by
Messiah.
the
He's
by
second
those
coming.
followers.
But so, Jesus' ideals was to help others, to love one another, but it was also about being humble thyself. Also, doing so that not to get praise from others, but do it because it's the right thing to do. So these people are going out and they're trying to help other people to get praise for it because they're narcissistic, because they want to be liked, they want to be viewed as righteous. And Jesus had several like parables about the Pharisees and whatnot who constantly did this shit, but they choose.
I was in Godspell, so I know about that.
Yeah. Go ahead and list off that scripture. Mark might know it. Do you know it, Mark? What's the
Which scripture?
The Pharisees scripture? I don't know any fucking Pharisees scripture.
The Pharisees are in a lot of the Gospels.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, we're just getting political
Yeah.
on this shit tonight, y'all.
Don't follow Mark. Don't follow Mark on this.
I'm not religious, and I'm somewhat anti, so I'm biased in that perspective. But it does feel like this is one of the classic problems of the idea of heaven, of the afterlife being entirely dependent on your behavior and this whole reward system, because it drives a lot of types of people, and maybe it's not the cause, maybe it finds these kinds of people, but it drives a lot of people to be in exactly this situation where they're just racking up points. They are making decisions based on what's going to get me the reward at the end of my life, versus what just gives me a good connection with humanity. I'm not sure getting rid of that system helps. Maybe those people would just. I mean, there's no way in hell Trump believes in any god but himself.
No.
And so clearly he exists without a belief system. So I'm not saying that getting rid of that would actually solve the problem, but it is interesting how many people just basically use that system to justify how do I earn brownie points without actually caring.
I think there was something that came out that said like Trump is a nihilist, or that he knows and it's there. Like he knows he's a nihilist. He understands that much. He's taken the other route. He's like, well, if nothing else matters, I'll just be as selfish and as unempathetic as possible.
Yeah,
that's the route he decided to take.
And that's the beauty of it for him is, absolutely nothing matters. He can get away with whatever he wants. And of course, he is above, at least he feels he is, and for the most part has been proven correct, above all repercussions. If society is damaged by his actions, he's too rich for it to matter. Like, that's one of the beautiful things for most of these 1%ers is they are unaffected by most of the problems. They can afford to mitigate the effects of climate change. They can afford to mitigate the effects of most economic downfalls. All the things that they can do that can hurt all the rest of us, they're immune from. So he's in a situation where he can absolutely, it doesn't not matter to him one bit if abortion is illegalized, because A, he's probably already taken care of all the abortions he's going to need to for his lifetime. And even if he does, he can afford the silent doctors. All of the things that do not jive with him personally, he can absolutely, positively, happily let happen because it doesn't affect him.
Hey, what are you eating there, Mike?
Eating chili or cereal?
It's got to be macaroni and cheese, right, Mike?
What's that?
Well, what are you eating?
I'm eating something I don't pass out.
Oh, that's good. Sorry.
Be safe, Mike. Please be safe, because we're going to go ahead and move on to the next segment. So if you don't want to drink, you don't have to.
Sorry, I normally don't eat during these. I'm sorry, I apologize, but I needed to right now.
Yeah,
No, you can eat. It's totally fine.
I mean, you could be hacking up a lung right now.
Here we go. Let's chug it. Christine ran out of booze. I do it.
I did.
Yeah.
I'd have to go all the way.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'd have to go in the other room to get more, and I'm lazy.
That means you won the podcast.
Woohoo!
Speaking of lazy people, That doesn't really apply to this next segment.
Aw.
Nancy Pelosi in the House passed a $3 trillion stimulus bill weeks ago that has since been left untouched on Mitch McConnell's desk. McConnell says he wants to take a wait-and-see approach to see if Americans will need more aid, and that he wants to put a pause on any future stimulus bill. So, Christine, you haven't gotten a question yet. Do you think there is an electoral advantage in Republicans deciding to be budget hawks during a global pandemic?
I don't think it really matters to them because for someone like Mitch McConnell, I think he thinks he has it all figured out. He has his base. He has his billionaires. And I really think that he thinks that they can do what they want. They can pad, the pockets of their rich benefactors, and they can convince the people that are going to vote for them that what they did was the right thing, regardless of whether it is the right thing or not. And then they can always go, well, we did send out $1,200, and then we were just trying to save the economy and look, So I just think that they think that they have a one-up on their base, and that they don't have to worry about appeasing, the other half of the country. He's very arrogant, which is odd because he looks like a turtle.
He is a turtle.
I mean, I just love to say that because I'll shoehorn that in at any time.
Not even the ninja kind.
No, he looks like he talks like this. Like that is what I hear. Yeah, and his smile, like he doesn't have lips. He's like, he just, I hate him so much.
Yeah,
but that's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah, so I think they're trying to play every angle of being, conservative for the ones that are more, traditional Republicans. We didn't want to bankrupt, we didn't want to go into debt. Then they can convince their sort of Trumpers that they did the right thing. I just echoed. And then no one who no one is going to vote for Mitch McConnell that wasn't going to vote for him before the pandemic.
He's in Kentucky, so it's just like that is just the reddest of red states, in my opinion. It's just, I mean,
I don't know though. Who
Amy McGrath.
Yeah. What's the percentage there?
It's getting closer and closer.
And yet they elected a Democratic governor in 2020.
Yeah. So I mean, he definitely could get upended, but I think he's playing the same rule book he's always played. I don't think he's worried because he has never had to be worried in the past. So he'll do something dirty and underhanded to try to win the election for himself and for all of his cronies.
Yeah, I sure hope so. But like you think about, if even if he does get upended by Amy McGrath, that like we got to maintain the Senate or some other dipshit bullshit fucking asshole Republican's going to go ahead and take over for the Senate majority leader, and that's not a good thing. So let's all adopt a swing state, all back, and go ahead and try and
please do adopt a swing state.
Yeah.
Actually, we should all do that and then compete against each other. All different.
We each pick a swing state, and whoever in the general election, whoever switches it blue, then that's on us. I mean, obviously, it's our
wins by the biggest margin.
Oh,
Win.
wow.
My wife's been finding all these amazing houses online, just listings of just ridiculously cool houses that are all over the country, some of which are ridiculously affordable by our Los Angeles standards, like painfully so. And she just found one in Kentucky the other day. It's like, it's Kentucky. And I was like, yeah, but they just elected a Democratic governor, so there's a slim chance.
I've been to Kentucky.
Yeah,
you don't want to live there,
right? I don't, but like it was definitely that moment of, but we could help.
We really could use you in Kentucky, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could sell my house right now and just outright buy a mansion out there, and it just drives me insane.
It's painful.
Yeah.
It's true. If we really cared as much, we would all fucking move. Because we got California by the balls. That's not going
Yeah.
anywhere
But
anytime
we're in
soon.
our bubble.
Yeah, that's the proof of how little we care.
We love our bubble. Like, I don't know. It's something about being amongst like-minded people. Like,
Yeah.
and I feel that's why all the Republicans are just buried down in the deep South, because it's just like they can't
That
get
and
over-
poverty.
Yeah. that too.
Yes.
So, I mean, but like. You can't beat the weather here. I'm sorry. That's why people live in LA. It's just the best weather in the world. It's not that humid. It's not that cold. It's kind of warm all year round. It's beautiful.
Screw democracy.
Yes.
We've got good weather.
We've got California.
Oh,
Hey, guys.
everyone.
It's more
Well,
important than you
it's
think.
actually
You joke.
quite
It's really
amazing.
fucking important.
No, I know.
Plus, all the pictures are filmed here. Every single one. The pictures are here. But,
Mhm.
Should we? Let's go ahead and move on to our last segment.
all right, we gotta do
Okay.
it again. All right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
As always, there are many candidates, but we will all pick one person to tell to fuck off. And I will start with Dave.
Yeah. Mark motherfucking Zuckerberg, all right? Mark Zuckerberg, I know we've said it before, but Mark Zuckerberg can go fuck himself so hard. Like, his response to the Twitter censoring Trump, and he's just like, hey, Facebook's gonna suck Trump's dick as much as Trump wants, because we're gonna support him 100%. Like, no, you have made a commitment, like back after the 2016 election, that you would not allow the Russian bots to sorry, to continue to fuck up elections and to put false shit on their Facebook feeds. But yet he says, like, oh no, we're not going to go ahead and fact check, because, you know, that's their right to say outlandish shit that will manipulate people and force everyone to think that mail-in ballots are illegal, which is not true by any means. So that's who I think should go fuck off. I'm going to get on Facebook right now and see if anybody liked my post.
I believe the phrase he used was, "We don't want Facebook to be the arbiter of truth," and it's like, no one's asking you to become an
it's not.
investigative journalist.
Yeah.
It's the opposite.
Yeah, and he
It
looks
is
like a
the
fucking
opposite.
dick, man. I mean, I'm
It's
sorry.
just when you know something's a lie, just take it down or
Yeah.
put a little asterisk
So,
on
like,
it. I
Twitter
don't
did
know.
the right thing. They're just like, hey, like you were saying before, we're not gonna like completely delete it. We're just gonna put in just a little thing that says this is here's a fact check. If you want to go ahead and figure out stuff on your own, which most people don't, go ahead and click this link. He could do that because he's a goddamn fucking billionaire and he controls everybody's lives and what they buy and shit. But you know, whatever.
If they could take down my comment where I called someone a knob goblin,
Yeah.
they could take down a lie.
Seriously, there's
You
nothing
called
wrong with
someone a
knob
goblin,
goblins.
and they
Yeah, I
took it.
did, and they took it down. They said I was bullying him.
That's a very specific takedown to
Right?
take down.
I just thought it was hilarious, but you know, whatever.
Knob
They're not the arbiters of humor either.
Yeah, at
No.
least they're hip to the
They're
pop
not.
culture, right? I mean, I guess they make it. I mean, they control everything in our lives. Anyways, yeah.
Mike, who should fuck off?
I'm gonna say, I'll make this gender neutral, but any fuckwit who has a yippy dog and who calls the police on minorities.
Yeah.
Any dipshit who thinks that they need to call the cops on some bullshit trumped up charge. Yeah, those people are shit. Fuck them.
Yeah, I agree with that. That bitch is incredibly stupid. I also I wouldn't mind saying I wish I could change this, but that goddamn cop that fucking put his knee on that guy's head, man, that's fucked up.
Fuck that dude.
That guy.
Well, you just stole mine, Dave.
Oh shit! Well, that's
Now I
a
gotta come up with a
segue.
different one.
No, do it. Go right to you.
The
Segue.
guy who
Right.
the Minneapolis Police Department and the guy who killed George Floyd.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
We just want them to arrest him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's it.
That's what the
Charge him
riots
for
are.
fucking manslaughter or murder. There's gotta
Can
be
you
a
just
fucking
arrest
He
rule.
killed the guy. He killed the guy,
That's it.
and he didn't have to. That's what I call homicide.
He
And I'm a police officer. I'm not a police officer.
They're arresting him for check fraud. Big. That's like the
Was
white
it supposed
collar-
forgery? Yeah.
Yeah, like the most white collared crime that you could fucking think of, and they had to fucking basically strangle him to death. And that's, we're just gonna fire him. No, charge him for murder. Charge him for a hate crime because that's what it was. It's a fucking hate crime. I don't know.
White people will get 3 months in fancy prison for defrauding people for millions of dollars. But this guy was suspected of passing some fake bills and got the death sentence.
Christine, do you have anything else to add before we move on?
What was that?
Christine, do you have anything else you wanted to add to your rant before we move on?
Well, one thing I'll say is that the FBI has been investigating and has found that white supremacist groups have infiltrated police departments on purpose in order to commit crimes like these. So, I mean, we have a real, it's beyond just your average racist cop. It's like you're super racist. So, yeah,
Truly
awful.
disheartening.
very much so.
Jet, do you want to go ahead and tell us who you think should fuck off?
Yeah, mine's going to go generic as well, just because that's the mood I'm in on this. But the people who both refuse to wear masks and will actually call out people for wearing them. This is just like it's insanity. Like they call people pussies for wearing masks. And like that's just offensive because pussies are objectively warm and deep and have are supportive and resilient and strong
And sticky.
yes,
Sticky.
right, yes. And not to mention that if that's the case, then that means the masks are panties, and who doesn't love wearing panties on their face?
Yeah.
So yeah, these people are fuckers and can fuck off. While I wear my mask, and I'll remind everyone, this is important. When I wear the mask, because we understand the logic of this and the system of how these things work, my mask primarily protects all of you from what I might have. The masks are not helpful in almost every way for protecting me from what's around me. They don't really
Hold
filter
on.
things properly incoming.
Can you say that in a Batman voice? Just say exactly
Sure.
what you said, word for word in a Batman voice.
All right. The masks are for helping you, not me. No, that's not even. That's bad. I'm not even sure
pretty
that is.
good, that's pretty
That's
good.
one of the villains. Yeah. But yeah,
No, Dave, do it as Bernie Sanders.
I am the hero you deserve, not the one you need.
The masks are for protecting other people. The 1% just can't seem to figure out what's going on, but you need to put on the mask with the pudding pop. Progressiveness. I'm in jail right now for sexual conduct that I shouldn't have done.
Well, I can't top Dave's hybrid impersonation of Bernie Sanders and Bill Cosby, but I am going to send a fuck off to Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia. Brian Kemp, when he was Secretary of State, purged hundreds of thousands of people from the voter roll so he could win a state election and become governor. And now, after reopening Georgia, which, by the way, is having an uptick in cases, he determined that it was safe enough to open Georgia, but it wasn't safe enough to hold an election. Therefore, he's canceling it, and rather than having the people of his state elect their Supreme Court justice, he's just going to appoint one himself. And I think it speaks to this feeling among people that's like, I'm a real American. So I really care about liberty and patriotism, and Democrats aren't patriotic. They're not real Americans, so it's okay for me to suppress their vote because I'm trying to protect the country. And fuck all those people. Fuck Brian Kemp. Brian Kemp hates democracy more than anyone in the country except probably Donald Trump and maybe Ron DeSantis, who I would also like to fuck off.
Trump.
You know what? I'm going to tell Ron DeSantis to fuck off too because of his whole victim thing of like, you owe me an apology for your media coverage. I'm so sick of this narcissistic like victim complex. Dude, just shut the fuck up and do your fucking job. You live in a mansion, you get paid a 6-figure salary. You can take some reporters saying some mean things about you, which were warranted because you let spring breakers spread COVID everywhere. Anyway, that's the end of my rant.
This whole idea of us controlling you, that's patriotic, and if you don't agree, you're not American. Well, guess what? You know what? Democracy, people voting, the Constitution, the right to protest, protesting the president, calling out things that are wrong with what your government doing. That's fucking patriotic.
Rocking out with your cock out.
Yeah.
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 With your dick out.
Whip it around.
Somebody will slap it around a little bit.
Maybe find some 46-year-old account executive. Take that cock, put it right in her face. Liberty.
Right. I don't know where we went there, but
Woo!
Yeah.
Sorry, that made me cry.
Yep.
Inspiring. I think we'll end it there.
You
Thank
can't
you guys
put
so
that.
much for doing this show again. This was really fun. And for anyone who may be watching, please adopt a state.
yeah.
And let's all compete and try to win.
Yeah.
Yay!
Thank you, Throwdown Comedy, and also stick around next week for the come back. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Next week is going to be the quarantine quiz show, so come back and watch that shit. Woo! And now here comes.
Night, everybody.
Good night.
Night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.